Hey, good afternoon. How y'all doing? It is Well Redbeard. It is a damn fine day to talk about a book, and we're here for a book review. And we're going to talk about Ghoul by Brian Keene. This is the Brian Keene Project, episode 1, where I read what is supposed to be one of his best, I think. I put a tweet out, and people responded. A lot of people voted for Ghoul, and Brian himself actually said that Ghoul was probably one of his more acclaimed novels. So it's June 1984. Timmy Greco is looking forward to summer vacation, taking it easy and hanging out with his buddies. Instead, his summer will be filled with terror and a life and death battle against a nightmarish creature that few will believe even exists. Timmy has learned that the person who's been unearthing fresh graves in the cemetery isn't a person at all. It's a thing, and it's after Timmy and his friends. If Timmy hopes to live to see September, he'll have to escape the ghoul. So it's about a ghoul, and look, if you told me that I would enjoy a book about a ghoul, I'm not a big monster guy, not a big monster. I mean, it's weird. I come here and talk about horror books every day, but I'm not really a big monster type guy. But I enjoyed this one, and more because it was a coming of age type of book. Like it said, summer is magic, and you never find better friends than the ones you had when you were a 12-year-old boy, and riding your bikes and dealing with the neighbor's mean dog and this and that. It had all that 80s magic, and that's when I came up, I would have been 8 years old in 1984. They're 12. These three boys are 12, but the music references, the comic book references, all that stuff. It played well for me. I could understand where it wouldn't play so well for others. Now, I looked at reviews of this book, which I normally don't do, but I looked at 1-star reviews, and so this opens on a pretty graphic sex scene. It's our introduction to the ghoul, and you've got a young, a teenage boy and girl doing their thing in the cemetery, and he comes up and takes care of his business, and kills the guy and keeps the girl, and all that stuff. And it's pretty graphic, like it's pretty graphic sexually, and like one of the reviews said they stopped there, and I can get that, but the rest of the book isn't that way. Like that's one of the most probably graphic scenes in the book is the prologue, and then we settle into this kind of pretty coming of age story. I mean, for me, it's not up there with some of these titles I'm going to mention, but it does bring up comparisons to it, like It and McCammon's Boy's Life, and Ronald Kelly's Fear, which didn't take place in the 80s, but is another one of those nostalgic kind of coming of age type tales. I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the three friends. I enjoyed the things that they got up to, and again, like I said, the nostalgia elements. Now, there was a level of convenience to some of it. For example, so one of the boys' dad works in the cemetery. He's like the caretaker, and he's kind of helping this ghoul out. He's getting the loot from, the ghoul will consume. They eat dead bodies. I don't know if I already said that. I probably didn't already say that. Ghoul kind of goes grave to grave, consuming like these dead, decomposing bodies of the freshly buried, and even the ones that have been buried there forever. And the dad, the caretaker, gets the loot. So that's like the agreement there. But but the discovery part of this, like the way the kids kind of get on the idea that it's a ghoul, is what happens with the guy from the first scene. Like I said, he kills that guy, but the caretaker basically puts him in the trunk of his car and hides the car. Which is weird, because like while the ghoul can't eat like fresh bodies, it's like his rules or whatever. I don't know why he didn't just pull him underground and take care of it later. So I enjoyed this book. Like, it's a page turner. It was fun. I enjoyed the coming of age aspects of it. Some of it I enjoyed. There's a part of this that is gutsy, and I don't know any way to tell you this without somewhat being a spoiler, and I'm going to kind of go off on a tangent here, But I give my and I know everybody likes Stranger Things. I get it. I think I watched the first season, but I haven't watched the rest of it. But my kids love it. My wife even likes it. And I give them shit because I'm like, they're like in what, season 4, and I'm like, wait, this thing started with like 4 kids, like originally, right? Like 4 guys and then 11, right? The girl, and I'm like, they're all still alive, right? All 5 of them. They're like, yeah. I'm like, no, 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 it's not horror. I'm like, what about Winona Ryder, the mom? She's still alive? Yeah. What about the cop? He's still alive? Yeah. So you see what I'm saying? I mean, you got to kill somebody. That's my opinion. And this book does that, and I'll leave it at that. This book does do that in a very, very horrific way. When it happens, though, it's so fast paced that we don't even really come to terms with it. Like when you're 12 years old and you see a monster holding one of your best friend's heads, I mean that's a fucking big moment, right? And it's almost like we don't even really get to dwell on that for very long. So enough of that. That's my spoiler. All I'm telling you is that somebody does die. It's a fucking horror book. Somebody dies. There are levels and levels of parental abuse in this book. One of the kids' dads, beats the shit out of him. One of them is his mother abuses him sexually. Another one, has got what you would think is a good pair of parents, but take his punishment to the next level. At one particular part, it's painful to read, and if you read it, you'll get what I'm saying. For me, like, there's this element of reproduction with the ghoul. Like like I said, he pulled that initial woman underground, keeping her alive. I mean, it tells you that he's mating with her. It never actually goes into details with that, but like, there's one part of this book, and I could have got it wrong, but like, I thought that like the reproduction process was just hyper fast, and then almost like this woman had been spitting out his ghoul children, and I thought they were running around in the tunnels down there under the cemetery, but they never make an appearance. Like, I swear there's one part earlier in the book that kind of says that he's repopulating his race, and it makes it sound like he is being successful at it, so much so that at one point the caretaker delivers another woman to him. So he has 2 women down there, and again, it never does the monster on woman sex scene or anything like that. But you think that there's either little baby ghouls running around down there, or at least that these girls are pregnant by him, like gonna have a litter or something. I don't know. Like, it's never mentioned again. Like, at the end, at the culmination, when everything stops, and one of the girls, at least one of the girls, is rescued. Like, that's it. Like, you don't get any more on that. Like, I mean, again, I thought they were running around down there. I thought we would have to deal with multiple baby ghouls before we, kind of like a video game, like we'd have to kill all the mini ghouls before we got to the big one, but that's not the case. And then I was like, well, this girl, she's got them in her belly or something, right? I don't know. It kind of just left it at that. The ending for me, it fell a bit flat. Not really the climax, like not necessarily the resolution to the problem, but we have a flash. We come back with one of our characters, like, after the fact, and it's a good bit after the fact, but I'll just leave it at that. But we come back, and there's one part about the way one of the boys turned out, and that part I hated it. I mean, I hated that part. Look, it ain't my book. I didn't write it, and it's fine. Writers can write whatever they want, but I hated that he turned out that way. I'll be honest with you. But there are some cool little bits at the end. I mean, talking about our childhood friends and talking about, kind of the whole you can't go back home part, the only things that lasted forever were scars and monsters. But when he was 12, Tim had believed that summers were endless, and so was life. But he knew better now. Nothing was endless. Nothing lasted forever. Nothing was eternal. Not life, not summer, not friendship, not even love, because the ghouls would gnaw away at those things until there was nothing left. Had some cool paragraphs at the end. Another thing with this book is I noticed a lot of repetitive parts, and it's funny because I just recently said this about a couple J.F. Gonzalez books, and I know that Keene and Gonzalez were colleagues, and worked together some, but you know, it was there were multiple times in the book when I said that to myself. Oh, that's repetitive. We already, but the one part that stood out was the description of the monster. Like, we learned what he looked like multiple times, and when that happened, and I get it, we're seeing it through different characters' eyes, but when it happened, it felt really repetitive. I mean, the descriptiveness, or his description, white, almost glowing, hairless, bald, long, talons, except for his pubic area. Apparently that was the only part that wasn't hairless. I don't know. But there was some repetitive parts. Really, I came here to give this book 4 stars. And as I've talked about it, I kind of realized that there are a lot of parts about it that, either I didn't like or they fell a little flat for me. I still think I'm at 4 because I'm telling you, it is a page turner of a story. And I really liked the story, and I really liked the horror parts. There were a couple things that I didn't, but I did overall really like the book. I think I'm going to call it 4 stars for now. I mean, again, when I think of those books, those summer coming of age books, again, I named them already. I won't do it again. I will think of this one. I mean, it's not a boy's life, but it's close. It's something like that. So this is Ghoul, Brian Keene. This is Well Read Beard. This has been my review. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you're enjoying all your books as much as I am. If not, you're reading the wrong damn books.